have an awesome live stream ahead of us, and I just want to thank you all for joining us and tuning in. Tonight we are going to be continue. Hey, 4 Elemental, what's going on? I know I am 3 minutes late. I apologize. Running a little bit behind. Had some technical difficulties. I think that's the official excuse. Anyway, tonight what we're going to be doing on the live stream, guys, is we started a adventure I think it was about a month ago. It was about some evil corrupted gnomes, and tonight we are going to be finishing up that adventure. I hope. We have really only 3 things that we have to do. On our schedule for tonight is creating some encounters in a cave area, like one of the final areas in the adventure. And also we're going to create a trap together, which I think will be really cool. And also we're going to roll loot and treasure and money and all that good stuff, and we're going to distribute it throughout the adventure. And so that's what we have going on tonight. Now, if you're catching us on the replay, I do plan on putting some like shortcuts, timestamps down in the description so that you can maybe skip ahead to the parts that you think are most interesting for you. Like, I know creating the trap, I think creating the trap will be pretty fun, doing that together and coming up with something really cool to catch the players in. And rolling and distributing loot is always a really cool thing. What we're going to do is I'm going to pull up the rules in the Dungeon Master Guide, and we're going to look at what the rules say about creating traps, guidelines for it, like difficulty classes and that sort of thing. And for distributing loot, we're going to literally go to the Dungeon Master Guide, to the loot tables, and we're going to roll for loot, and we're going to see what we come up with. It's going to be either really disappointing or it's going to be really cool, and so I'm looking forward to that. And we have to flesh out some encounters as well. So we'll be creating some encounters for this adventure. Now, also, down in the description, there is a link to what we have created so far. Like, there were 2 other live streams that we were creating this adventure together, and we came up with a pretty fleshed out idea already. And there's a link to that down in the description if you want to check that out. You can download that. It's a Word document, so you guys can, you can use it, you can modify it, do what you want with it. And after we're done tonight, I'm also going to put everything, obviously, that we do tonight in that Word document. And then it'll be out there for download that you guys can grab it and do what you want with it. So all those resources are going to be there for you to use however you want. I mean, you might just not like the adventure. You might strip everything out of it and just use it as a template or something, which is totally cool. So I'm really looking forward to this. Let's see, we got Philip. What's going on, dude? How you doing, man? And then, oh man, wow, this is going to be hard. Prophet Isaiah. All right, man, I got it. I saw it all like smashed together, and I was like, how do I even say that? But Prophet Isaiah, what's going on, dude? Fierce Mushroom, how you doing? I know, Fierce. Like, I think there was that one time you were like coming in like around 10 or something when I was trying to wrap up, and we held the live stream just for you. So I'm glad you could make it this time, man. Breadsteak, what's going on, buddy? How you doing, man? I'm glad you guys could all join us. We'll get some coffee here. I got a new Mexico cup. My mom went to Mexico, and she brought me this cup, literally. Swan Master Flex, how's it going, buddy? Good to see you again, man. Says his group couldn't meet this week, but I added in to start for... All right, cool. Oh, nice. In a ruined temple. A dark ooze is going to be a reoccurring ancient evil force. Awesome. That's cool, man. Oozes can be nasty. Oozes can be really nasty. This one guy was telling me once about a story where he was the dungeon master running a game. This is off tangent. This has nothing to do with adventure creation, but he was telling the story about an ooze, and his party, like, it was this ooze in a fountain or something, and it just looked like black water. And he said that the barbarian or somebody wanted to just jump into it, and he probably did that whole "are you sure" moment, and the barbarian jumped into it, and it was a black ooze, I believe, and he died. So that's a good ooze story for you. Hey, Brad Becker, what's going on, dude? How you doing? Glad you could join us, man. So the whole goal for this, by the way, guys, is for this to be a collaborative stream. As you can, is that the right way? That's the wrong way. As you can see over here in this like junk I wrote to the side, I want to work together to develop this adventure. So I'm really looking for you guys to put forth your ideas and stuff. What you think you want to do with this. This is supposed to be a collaborative venture. I can sit home any day of the week and just like create adventures. I often do, and there's nothing super interesting about what I come up with, I think. So I want to see what we can come up with together. I know what we've already come up with is super, super cool. Josh, what's going on, dude? Oh, sweet. We're live at GameStop. Nice. That's awesome. All right, attention GameStop shoppers. Make sure you buy a bunch of games and go play them It should be fun. Yeah. All right, sweet. So, GameStop shoppers, we're going to be talking about Dungeons and Dragons tonight. That is what we're doing. We're creating an adventure together. So there you go. You can all join us for that as you shop for video games. What do they got now? I mean, I have an Xbox 360, but I'm pretty sure that like that's a couple systems behind the current thing or something. So, Sleeping Shaman, good to see you, man. Good to see you. So Fierce says he's excited for the prospect of trap making. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna make at least one trap tonight for sure. And I am not an expert at all on trap making. I'll be honest with you. My traps are probably unimaginative, just standard run-of-the-mill stuff. So I think we can probably come up with something better together, would be my guess. So, Breadsnake says, have you seen the thing? And this is part of what I do, guys. If you're new to the live streams, part of what I do is I just read your comments and I talk to you. But we will get to adventure creation. I promise you. We'll do something productive tonight. Breadsnake, I get distracted. I like interacting with you guys and talking with you and stuff. So I get distracted by your chats, and we end up like chatting because that's what you do in chat. Breadsnake says, have you seen the thing at the very beginning of the handbooks? It's like a funny little line of that's like a thing in 5th edition. They're always doing that. Like, I'll pull up one of the thingies here. Like, for instance, some of them are better than others, but this is the monster manual, or this is the Dungeon Master Guide, and I'm sure they got something in here. You know, they say like, I don't think you can see this on the screen. This is like super small. Wizards of the Coast does not officially endorse the following tactics, which are guaranteed to maximize your enjoyment as a dungeon master. First, always keep a straight face and say okay, no matter how ludicrous or doomed the player's plan of action is. That's actually good advice. Second, no matter what happens, pretend that you intended all along for everything to unfold the way it did. You know what? That's actually, I don't think I've ever read that before. I've read that before in the Dungeon Master Guide. I've read it in like Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes and like other Volos that comes out. But like, this is their joke text for Elementals. I think it's, what was that? Who did? Oh, little CMB, what's up, dude? Yeah, this is like their joke text. They always put this up here. Always keep a straight face. Even everything is going according to your plan as a dungeon master at all times. Absolutely. Third, if you're not sure what to do next, feign illness in the session early and plot your next move. Actually, if you're not sure what to do next, I mean, just having like some monsters or something show up is not a bad idea. When all else fails, roll a bunch of dice behind your screen, study them for a moment, and with a look of deep concern mixed with regret, let loose a heavy sigh and announce that Tiamat swoops from the sky and attacks. I mean, that is a thing. I randomly roll dice behind my screen at times and don't say anything to my players, and I know they're thinking, well, why did he just roll dice? It's just, you get in their minds, right? It's a cool thing. Anyway, that's not why we're here tonight. That's just a random, somebody distracted us and we got into something else. So, all good things though. We're going to take a look at adventure creation tonight. So I have here a Word document. This is what we came up with last time, and I want to make sure that I am zoomed in quasi-sufficiently enough for you guys to kind of see it. Depends. If you're on your cell phone, then this is probably unintelligible. But it's about as good as I can do, perhaps. So we made a bunch of creatures. The basic idea of what we're doing here is we have a gnome village. The gnomes have been corrupted by this like evil black ooze type stuff. We have built in like corruption mechanics so the players, their characters could become corrupted. Basically the players are going into this village. Their goal is to find a cure for this corruption. All of the gnomes in this, I think most of the gnomes or all of the gnomes in this village have been corrupted, and so the players are supposed to be finding a cure for this, basically. Now, they could, of course, just go through and kill all the gnomes, but the idea is for them to actually find a cure. And we have things in the village. There's this plant that grows in there, and it's all on the download, but there's this plant in there that can cure them, and we already have some encounters made up where there are corrupted gnomes that are being like mind controlled. They're riding on the back of ogres and they're throwing potions. And we have at the very end of this is actually, I really like this. We came up with some really cool stuff that one night. We have this mechanic here for these corrupted gnome potion throwers where they have like these potions, right? And they throw them because that's why they're called gnome potion throwers. And then we roll a die, and then depending on what comes up, we roll a d12, and if we roll a 5, it's a nauseating potion. If it's a 7, it's a slowing potion. So I think we came up with some really cool, like, random potion effects for these gnome potion throwers. So that's one of the encounters in the adventure. We already made that, so we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. I just thought it was really cool what we come up with, so I wanted to share that real quick, because not everybody have probably followed all of these adventure creation live streams. So just to kind of fill you in a little bit. And then we made some stuff. Now this is like, what you're looking at here is this is the Word document that I use. This is like the template that I use for most or all of my adventures, probably all of my adventures that I write. And so we fleshed some stuff out. We have a location, we have the names of some NPCs that they're going to run into in the adventure, and we already kind of fleshed this out a little bit. Not super detailed on the NPCs. We have a corruption mechanic, a cleansing mechanic. The players could become, their characters could become corrupted, and so we have a mechanic for that. We have an inciting action, how the whole adventure kicks off. So we've already kind of determined a lot of these things, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I definitely want to make sure that we get into like the actual nuts and bolts of what I said we were going to do tonight. But there's a whole bunch of cool stuff. Here's the Ogre Patrol. Here's like, while they're exploring this gnome, let me show you the picture. So I did a little mapping. I don't have a good setup here to like map live, and so I did some mapping offline for you all. And this is how I do my maps for my games. There's no fancy stuff here, right? This is grid paper and a pencil and occasionally an eraser, right? And so I just have a very basic gnome village. And I mean, this is not rocket science. I'm sure somebody could do a lot better than this. But there's basically a garden at the middle, and then there are the gnome little houses. And I labeled them because as the players are exploring them, I'll keep track of like which houses they go to, right? But I think the point that I was saying is that as they're exploring that village, we have this like random encounter table basically of different things that will happen to them as they're going from like house to house to house and trying to find out what happened and why the gnomes are corrupted. We have a little random encounter table that we made. And I think we might have made this the very first night that we did a live stream. And by the way, all these adventure live streams are on my channel, obviously. So if you want to watch them and get caught up, that's cool. I think the very first one we did was like, oh man, I think we spent about 4 hours on it. We were there late and we didn't finish it, and I was exhausted. So yeah, we won't do that again. That was way too much. So let's see. Ted Berger, what's up, man? How you doing, man? Good to see you, man. I think I just said man like 3 times in that sentence. Anyway, continuing on, there's this safe house in the middle of the village where they're going to find a couple gnomes that have not been corrupted, and that is their opportunity to find out that it is this herb called elder sage that grows in the village that is basically immune to corruption and it can be a cure for corruption. And so this is where the players can actually find out, this is what we have to do to kind of like rescue the gnomes. If we want to rescue them, there's no guarantees. The players might just decide to kill all the gnomes. You never know. But maybe they'll have a little bit of mercy in their hearts and they'll want to rescue them and cure them. I guess we'll see. If most of us like run this at our tables, we can find out what actually happens. I'm sure you're gonna have some groups are just gonna be like, whatever, we don't care, kill the gnomes, right? Others will have a little bit more mercy in their hearts. And there's this garden, has a shambling mound in it. It's cool. There's lightning striking. There's lightning coming down and striking things, and the shambling mounds are healed by lightning. And so during this battle with the shambling mounds, there's a chance that lightning is going to hit it and keep on healing it. So it is a really cool mechanic that we came up with when we were making this. There's an ogre shaman who is infected with these black effects that is like, over everything, and he's like the big bad boss, right? That's going to have to be defeated at the end of this. And then we have this cave complex where the ogre is he's at the very end of this cave complex. Let me show you the map of the cave complex. So we had decided, pause for a drink. And we're very close to actually starting to do some adventure creation. And the very first thing we're going to do is we are going to start populating these rooms. As you can see here, there are certain rooms that I did not write anything in. And 1, 2, 3, at least four of these rooms here, we're going to put stuff in here. And I just drew out a quick little map here. Again, this is not super hard. This took me like 5 minutes maybe. And that was because I had to find my pencil. But it's just grid paper, right? I usually like to do 1 square equals 10 feet. Real quick pro tip on map making. It is a cruel dungeon master who makes corridors 5 feet wide. And if you ever run a combat with corridors that are 5 feet wide, you will quickly see how congested things become and how players get all their characters get all stacked up and nothing really happens. So I generally, unless you're trying to go for a special ambiance of cramped quarters, I generally would recommend corridors that are 10 feet wide. And if you want to be particularly cruel, have the players fight kobolds or goblins in their own warrens, their own tunnel systems, which are like maybe 2, maybe 3 feet wide and equally as tall. So all of your players their characters are squeezed, and then things get very interesting. I've had a couple groups fight in kobold tunnels where they're squeezed, and they never ever want to go back into kobold tunnels ever again. It was a horrible experience for them, and that was kind of the intention, to show them what it's like to fight on an enemy's own territory when the enemy's like much smaller than you. It's a different story to fight kobolds in cramped quarters than just out in the open where you can just kill them all. So anyway, that was a little tangent, but a tip. I guess a tip on map making, but this is not a work of art, guys. This is very, very simple. I do not claim to be an artist. So we're going to populate these rooms here, and I think that might be that's a bit the overview that I need to give, and we can start getting. We've already decided a lot of these details about the ogre shaman. We have a description of him. We have role-playing notes. We have like encounter notes about how to actually run him in the encounter. Different things he can do. He has legendary actions and stuff like that. When I'm creating, this is one of my pet peeves about modules. They put enemies in a room, but they give you no advice. Usually they give you no advice whatsoever about how to actually run that encounter. And if it turns into a combat, which most encounters do, how to actually run that combat. And so what I like to do when I make my adventures is I make notes about what the enemies are, what their tactics might be, what they might do. You know, is the front line melee they're gonna engage the front party, right? And then in the rear, the archers are going to pick off the magic users or something, just basic tactics or something. I like to include those. So we did a little bit of that here, not a whole lot. And then we have some basic resolution things. Oh, look at this. We haven't done that yet. There we go. Bam. All right. We have not rolled loot yet, so we'll get that off from there. I actually had to. I'm running this at my Wonder Panda campaign at work, and so I had to flesh out a couple little things on this ahead of time just for my game at work, so I could actually run my game. So you caught me. I forgot to take those off. Anyway, continuing on, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to flesh out these rooms here, and so we're going to put encounters in here. We have 1, 2, 3 rooms that are empty. So what I want to do is, what kind of creatures should we put in these rooms, guys? Let me know down in the comments, because that's the way you communicate with me on a live stream. What we should be putting in these rooms, what kind of monsters. Now, for reference, what we already have in the game are, we have gnome commoners. These are the potion throwers. We have ogres. This is what the gnomes are going to be riding. Ted says giants. So, point of order, this adventure is for, and it's written right here, it is for 5 level 4 characters. So we might be able to put a giant in there. Actually, we could. Some of the lesser giants might work. Okay, we could take a look at giants in the monster manual. Puzzles, we could do puzzles. I am horrible at puzzles. So if you guys can think of a puzzle on the fly that works, I'm open to that, but I am not a puzzle guy. I do very few puzzles in my games for a good reason. I'm horrible at it. I'm sure there's a book somewhere with lots of cool puzzles that I could buy and use. The gnomes have created a bunch of constructs, a stone defender, an iron cobra. We already have a shambling mound in the village because these black flecks are corrupting the vegetation and stuff around there, so we have a shambling mound. These black fleck blobs are basically the corruption that will like animate and fight the characters. So keep throwing ideas down there, guys, for things that you want to have in those rooms as I kind of like talk through stuff, because I need to fill up some time to give you guys a chance to type down there. This is what I wanted. I wanted to pull up. I don't have the right rule book up. Stand by. I'm gonna pull up Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, because we were using some monsters from Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. So I'm gonna pull that up for you if I can get this to work. Oh, there we go. It came right up. It's like I knew where I wanted to go. So we have these stone defenders. These guys look pretty cool. We have these stone defenders that are already in the adventure throughout. And here's the thing: to a certain extent, reusing monsters, in the same adventure is a thing, right? Because you want to reinforce a certain theme to the adventure. But we've used these quite a bit, and by the time the players get to the caves, they're already going to have encountered quite a few of these, and the ogres and the potion throwers. So I want to do something unique, something different. One of the things that is interesting about adventures is encountering a variety of creatures, right? And then it's up to the dungeon master to decide why those creatures are there, to decide what there's like a dungeon, the dungeon all interrelates, and there's a reason why everything is there. And there's a word for that. I forget what it is. There's a dungeon. Jeez. It's like the environment, how everything in the environment interrelates and connects and works together. There's a word for that. I know there's a word, and I should know what it is. But it's up to the dungeon master to decide why all of the creatures are there and what relation they have to the plot and everything that's going on. So, but anyway, we want to get some unique stuff. We have an iron. Oh, that's cool. A corpse flower. That looks cool. A CR8. I like that. We also have an iron cobra, which is this guy right here. This is interesting. The iron cobra it has a little treasure chest here. I wonder what the iron cobra does. It says, an iron cobra is exactly what its name implies, a metal snake with a poisonous bite. In addition to standard poisons, gnomes load this clockwork with alchemical concoctions that can paralyze creatures and cloud their minds with paranoia. So it doesn't say they guard treasure, but I mean, here's a picture of an iron cobra guarding a treasure chest, so that might be a thing. We might put that guy, or maybe a couple of them, in the treasure hoard room, maybe buried under the mounds of treasure. So maybe I'd also this corridor right here, guys, that you can see between C4 and C5. This is kind of where I envisioned the trap being. If any creature is going to have a trap, what you're going to trap is usually the treasure hoard, I think. That's the logical place for a trap, at least. So I was kind of envisioning this hallway being where you put the trap. So once the players go through this trapped hallway, whether they survive or die, we'll assume they survive, and then they get into the treasure hoard, they're going to say, oh, sweet. Everything is smooth sailing now. We're just going to scoop up the treasure, and then maybe these iron cobras could be buried underneath the treasure and then come out and attack them and stuff. Just a thought. We could do something different, obviously, but there we go. We got that. Let's see what kind of ideas we have here for dungeon ecology. Thank you, Michael Grimes. You the man. Dungeon ecology is the name of that thing that I couldn't remember. Sweetness. Let's see what people got going on here. We have Ogre Maggie. Ogre Maggie. Oh, that's a good idea, dude. Ogre Maggie. We have Werebats from the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Yeah. Maybe take away the immunity. Werebats. That's a good idea. I'm gonna write down as we go here. I should probably do this somewhere else. So let me see. What we're gonna do here is at the very beginning of the cave here, I am just gonna start a list of brainstormed ideas here. So we have werebats, because I'm gonna forget these as I read them. I like that idea. We have giants, right? We have werebats. We could do giants. What else we got? Bugbears. Bugbears is a possibility. We can't do everything, so let's see what we got going on here. Maybe make the goblins corrupted gnomes. Okay. What level are the PCs? The PCs are level 4, and there are 5 of them. So we could get pretty nasty. So if let me just go over to give you guys an idea of some standby. What is going on here? Give me a second. Boom. Why did that do that? Interesting. There we go. To give you guys an idea of this is the encounter calculator that I use. I'm gonna punch in 5 characters, and they are level 4, and this will give us the thresholds for the experience, the adjusted experience point thresholds for them. And I'm not gonna explain this right now, but I explained how to use all this thing in the previous live streams we did. But this is a really useful calculator for just quickly punching out things. So if we have one monster and let's say that he is a CR8. That is a deadly encounter. That's fairly deadly. That's the adjusted difficulty rating is 3,900, and deadly difficulty threshold is 2,500. So that's pretty darn deadly for them. A level 7. Now, level 7 is just over the threshold. But here's the thing. A one-on-one fight is going to turn into a surround and pound more than likely. So I would be perfectly comfortable throwing a level 8 monster at a group of 5 level 4 characters, because action economy is going to be totally against the one level 8 monster. And so even though the deadly threshold is like way above, right, what the math tells us to do, I know from experience that this is probably going to be okay. You might get a player that gets beat up pretty badly or goes down, but at the end of the day, I think a CR8 is going to have a rough day against these players. But ideally, to make encounters most interesting for your players, you don't usually want to have just one solo bad boss guy. That tends to be fairly uninteresting unless you do lots of special stuff with environment or legendary actions to make that more interesting. So generally what I like to do is I like to dispatch a group of bad guys at the characters. So for instance, if we have 5 players, it's not a bad idea to have 4 or 5 monsters go against them. In which case, if we use a CR4 monster, that's super, super deadly. If we bump that down to 4 CR3s, that's still looking pretty... What is a CR3? How many experience points standby does a CR3 have? Let's go to the monster manual here. So the monster manual also... I don't know if that calculator works very well when I punch in CR. I have found in the past that it tends to work better when I actually punch in the experience points from a monster, which is right here on this page. So a CR3 monster is 700 experience points. So I'm going to pop back over to this bad boy here, and I'm going to turn this back to using experience points, put it at 700. I don't know if this is going to make a difference. It didn't. It's the same thing. So 4 CR3s is still like pretty deadly. So you could drop that down to 3. We might go down to like and call it a CR2, which is 4,500 experience or 450 experience points. Whoa. I am typing the wrong stuff there. What did I say? 450. So the only point here now it's a little bit over deadly, right? So yeah, you might want to drop this down to 3 of them or something, or use CR2s or something. The only reason I'm going through this, guys, is to give you an idea of the range of CRs that we want to use in the encounter, right? Because the range of CRs is going to influence how many of those creatures we can deploy against the adventurers, and all that kind of good stuff, and what kind of challenge it's going to be too. And another thing that we want to take into consideration as we're designing these encounters is we don't want to have like every single room be full of a super deadly encounter, right? If the players go from one room that's really deadly to another room that's really deadly and another room that's really deadly, if every single battle is like super hard, it's going to turn into a slog, right? We want to have a mixture of difficulties for these battles. Some of them should be easy. There might be a couple of them that are just total pushovers and the players are like, this is ridiculous. This is like so easy. We're just destroying these things. And then maybe a couple mediums. And maybe one is actually deadly. Like this shaman that we have going on. That guy's probably going to be a pretty deadly encounter, right? Because that's the big bad boss at the very end of it. He's got legendary actions. He's got legendary resistances. So that's going to be pretty hard. So we don't want to go super crazy leading up to him. If we totally whoop on the players and deplete all of their resources before they get to him, then they're probably not going to go on in the dungeon. They're probably going to retreat and try to rest or something. So we want to be strategic about which... Wow, my printer just woke up. We want to be strategic about which encounters are difficult and which ones are just kind of easy or medium. So there we go. Let's see what you guys got. Message retracted. Okay. I've not seen that before. That's cool. Let's see. Evil Roper. A roper is an idea. There could be a roper somewhere. I like ropers. Ropers are when I've deployed ropers in the past. I'll also take the roper babies. Are those piercers is what they're called. They hang from the ceilings and drop on people. So usually when I deploy ropers, I usually have piercers along with them, or maybe piercers in a cavern leading up to them. That way the players can have the piercers dropping on them, and then maybe also the roper at the same point attacking them. I once had a room where there were like basically pedestals, and you had to jump from pedestal to pedestal to pedestal to get across the room. And in the very middle of the room, there was a roper, like grabbing people, right, pulling them off the pedestals. There were piercers falling down on them. And I'm sure you guys can all hear this. My printer is just like freaking out on me, and like I think it's deciding to print stuff randomly. I don't know what it's doing over there. That's really weird. I should unplug it. If it keeps doing this, I'll unplug that bad boy. Anyway, the pedestals, if you fell off a pedestal, I think I had like, did I have lava down below? I might have had some sort of like hazard, like lava or something down below. So as the players were trying to make their way across this room, the roper was attacking them, the piercers were attacking them, the roper was trying to drag them off the pedestals into the lava and stuff. And so it was a very hazardous room. Anyway, yeah, that printer needs a priest. I agree, True Mate. Hey, welcome, True Mate. Hey, Majestic Ball, what's going on, dude? Majestic Ball asks, what program are you using to type your adventure? This is just Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word is what I use. If you use OneNote at all to organize your adventures as a DM, you could just write your adventures up in OneNote. I prefer to actually print all my adventures off. It's easier for me to reference it at the table when I have it printed. I can make notes on it and stuff like that as well. And also, just in case like my electronic devices die, I'm not like stuck without anything. So I use Microsoft Word for everything. And I'm just using the basic heading levels that come with the program to like organize it and give it all this formatting. So there's nothing like super special. It gets the job done. All right, I need to get a drink of coffee. I got off on a tangent again. We were talking. See, I just gave you like this story about an encounter I created instead of like working on this encounter here. But that's what you get. I guess I'm easily distracted. But you got a cool D&D story out of it. So there you go. All right. Werebats are CR2 with immunities. That's cool. A CR2 werebat. We might do that, dude. We might do that. I know that's from, I think I have the PDF for Dungeon of the Mad Mage, so we can pull that up. I like that idea, dude. Let me see. What do we got here? Sleeping Shaman up here says, keep sending wave after wave until players drown in the blood of their opponents. I think you're onto something, man. I think you're onto something. We will keep that under consideration. Fierce Mushroom says, we talked about the Iron Cobra before. I'd like to use it in the trap. All right, dude. Fierce, I'll tell you what. You come up with an idea for how to use that Iron Cobra in a trap, and we'll figure something out. He keeps on writing, so maybe he's already written the idea, and I just haven't read it yet. Suppose that since we have clockwork enemies, we could have a timed puzzle switch in room C4. Failure drops Iron Cobra-ism. Okay, cool. I like it. What is the puzzle, though? I'm horrible at puzzles. I like that idea. If you don't solve the puzzle, Iron Cobra's drop. Good. We need a puzzle, though. I'm not going to be able to come up with a puzzle. I'm horrible at puzzles, but if somebody's got an idea, I'm all ears. Prophet Isaiah says, something based on that corpse flower could be thematic. Depower it a bit to fit party strength and make it more fungus-like than flower. Yeah, that's very true. Let's take a look. I like that idea of the corpse flower. I don't know about ropers. Corpse flower sounds like an idea because it's thematic, right? Because we were talking about these black flecks corrupting the vegetation and stuff, and so you have a very good point, man. The corpse flower is pretty thematic. Let me just, where's that bad boy? Let's take a look at that another time. Ooh, here it is. Was that an accidental scroll? Corpse flower. Now it's a CR8, so yeah, we would want to depower it a little bit. That corpse flower might be somewhere else in one of these rooms for sure. That's a possibility. We could do that. I like that idea. Let's see what else we got over here in the chat. Witch should also have corruption in their bite attack. Yeah, he should. I don't know if we have that or whatever. Let's go down here to where is our ogre shaman? He's at the end of the cave. Black fleck armor, corruption control. We have offensive, so these are legendary actions, special abilities, ladle attack. Yeah, we could just make it. We can make a little note here. Let's make a little note here that the shaman's bite can inflict corruption on the target. There we go. There we go. And we already have corruption mechanics in, so there we go. Arthur, what's going on, man? He says, I'm still in the paper notebook era for organizing games. Yeah. I used to have tons of notebooks, man, with all my stuff in it, and then I slowly have been shifting to putting everything into OneNote so that I can carry around my iPad and have everything at my disposal, so I don't have to do a bunch of flipping. And it's all electronic, backed up on the cloud, so I don't have any fear of like losing it or stealing it or burning it, or because I tend to burn my notebooks a lot. So yeah, but I feel for you, man. A mimic disguised as a treasure chest. Yep, we could do some mimics. That's Ted. That's a little what do you want to call it? Cliched. So if we can disguise a mimic as something more interesting than a treasure chest, I'm all ears. But mimics as treasure chests are like, that's a little overdone. So keeping true to pen and paper, I guess. Okay, so Swammaster Flex has a pleasure plate. Door slams behind them. 3 rounds to find hidden lever or Iron Cobra's drop. I like that idea. I like it. I think we are going to do that. Iron Cobra in a box clutched by a skeleton. That's a good idea, dude. I like that, true mate. All right, I got to do some writing here. We're gonna use some of these ideas here. So now the pressure plate with the doors that slam down, we need to put that somewhere. Oh, where's my map? Where's my map? Which that should be like C4. I'm thinking. C4 would be the room with pressure plates and iron doors that slam down. And then they would get trapped in here with Iron Cobras if they don't find the lever. So I think we're going to put it in C4. So now let's... We'll go over to C4, and we will call this... We'll just call it Iron Cobra Den, or Trap, or something. Chamber. There we go. That sounds more legitimate. Iron Cobra Chamber. And so I'm just gonna make some quick bullet points here. So we'll say there is a pressure plate. And actually, you know what we should do? I have a there is pressure plates in front of all entrances. Trigger iron doors to slide shut. Now here's the thing. If we have pressure plates in front of all the entrances, as you guys noticed, this room right here has it has 2 entrances that the players will come in by, potentially. This is the entrance to the dungeon. I don't have it noted on the map, but this little tunnel leading into C1 is where they come into the cave system. So they're either going to come this way into C4, or they're going to go around this way into C4. So if you have one player is always going to go in first, whether he's scouting ahead or whether they're marching in line. But if you have one player going first and he triggers the trap and the doors slide down, you're going to end up with like 1 or maybe 2 players that are stuck in the room all by themselves. And so we're effectively splitting the party. Now, that might not be a bad thing. We could be just fine with splitting. Actually, I think this is what we're going to do. We're going to split the party. We're going to make it so that the whoever's going first gets cut off from the rest of the adventures. And that will make it much more dramatic and tense, because that player or 2 players that are stuck in that room are going to be like, oh crap, right? Something bad's going to happen to us. And so we're going to cut them off intentionally. But we're going to do a thing. If they fail to find the lever that opens the doors and the Iron Cobras drop down, then we will have the other doors slide up so that everybody can kind of fight this encounter together. Intentionally cutting them off and then dropping a trap on them, we could do that. Totally up to the DM. That might be unintentionally cruel. So I think I'm going to build a mechanic in there whereby we make them afraid that they're going to have to fight stuff by themselves, but we don't actually follow through with it. Now, you could always do that when you implement it at your table, obviously. So, turn Nigel's table into a mimic. All right, Ted, we'll take that under consideration. All right, let me get this written down. So, C4, pressure plates in front of all entrances trigger iron doors to slide shut. All right. And then we will say that to slide shut. We will say that there is a hidden lever. No, we'll say the characters have 3 rounds to find a lever hidden. Where's the lever hidden? Like in a wall, in the ceiling, in the floor? There's not a whole lot of places for a lever to be hidden in this room. Where would be the most logical place to hide a lever? Probably along in a wall. Maybe there's like a little secret cubby in a wall. We'll just say there's a secret cubby in the wall. I think that's the easiest way to do that. So the players have 3 rounds to find a hidden lever. To find a lever hidden in a secret cubby. I put chubber or cubber instead of cubby. There we go. Anyway, a secret cubby in the wall. And pull it. If they fail to pull the lever in time, iron cobras drop from a hidden chute in the ceiling. I don't think that's how you spell shoot, because Word is telling me, there we go, that looks a little bit better. Finding the hidden cubby requires a DC. How hard should it be to find it? Let's make this a little bit difficult to find this little hidden cubby. It requires a DC, let's say 15. What would that be? Wisdom, and then perception check. Because here's the thing, if they don't find it, right, and the iron cobras drop down, their friends get to help them, it's not that big of a deal, right? So there we go. That's the basic idea of that little encounter thingy. I think we got most of the details there that we need. Iron cobras dropped a hidden chute in the ceiling. Finding the cubby requires a DC. Yeah, we got that information. Now we need to decide how many iron cobras drop from the ceiling. So we're going to head over here to our little encounter calculator thing. Iron cobras are let me see. What am I looking for? I'm looking for Morning Canis Tome of Foes for the Iron Cobra. And Iron Cobra is a challenge rating 4. So, which is a 1,100 XP. So, hopping back over here, what if we had 2 of these things? So we got 2 of these things, and that's deadly. That's deadly to fight an Iron Cobra, or 2 Iron Cobras. I don't think I want to make it a deadly encounter. I want it to be kind of somewhat easy-ish. Because we don't have too many, like I said before, we don't want to have too many deadly encounters. So, oh, wait, I just saw somebody. So Swamaster Flex says, plot twist, there are 3 levers, and only 1 is right. Oh, I like it. That's a great idea, dude. All right, we're changing this. To find a hidden lever in a secret cubby, there we go. Then we will say there are 3 hidden levers, and only 1 of them stops the iron cobras from dropping. Pulling the wrong lever automatically triggers the trap. There, I like that. That's great. And you know what? Now, because we have that mechanic, Swamaster Flex, we're going to make it easier for them to find these hidden levers. Because now the challenge is no longer find the hidden lever, which is kind of easy, I suppose, or simplistic. The challenge is now, oh, look, you're so clever, you found 3 hidden levers, but now what do you do with 3 hidden levers? And the challenge then becomes to figure that out, right, and pull the right one. And so we need to know, guys, how we need to give them some sort of clue as to which lever is the right one. Because if we just leave it to chance and all levers are identical and there's no clue guiding them as to which one is the right one to pull, then this
scenario becomes a little uninteresting. It's really just chance. So we got to have something that keys them in on which lever is the right one to pull. So let me know what you guys think is a good idea for that. So please let me know. Hey, George, what's going on, dude? Glad you could join us, man. Good to see you. Josh says, souls bound to objects in the room, such as totems or runes. I'm out of context. I'll have to look at that context in a second, man. So 3 hidden levers. And we need to find out, there was going to be one iron cobra. We're going to say, if they fail to put the lever in time, 1 iron cobra drops from a hidden chute in the ceiling and attacks. There we go. And I'm going to bold this because it helps call attention to it, and because all the other modules bold enemies when they mention them. So we want to make sure we do that. Apparently that's what the professionals do. All right, so we need to know how they're going to tell which lever is the correct lever. And this is kind of a trap. This is also kind of a puzzle, I think. And so we're kind of getting a little bit of both into this. I wouldn't mind having a basic trap either at some point, with like fire that shoots out of the walls or spikes or something, That's always fun, right? So let's see what we got going on over here. Maybe a riddle on the handles. Not levers, a button. It could be a button. I've already typed out all the stuff about levers, so we're going to leave levers for now, but you're totally right, for Elemental. We could just make it a button. The correct lever will be more worn because the gnomes use it to pass through the room. I like that idea, dude. That's a good idea. There could be writing on the wall. Yep. The two mimics that are levers. Oh, that's awesome. That's a great idea. So, like, not only if you don't pull the right lever, not only will the iron cobra drop on you, but the lever is a mimic that attacks you. That is so sweet, dude. I love that idea. We're doing that. All right, stand by. All right. So, how are they? We're gonna say that I like the idea of there being one lever that is worn a little bit more than the others. We'll say the correct lever is worn more from use, and then we'll say PCs can notice this with a successful DC. We'll say 13. Successful DC 13. Intelligence investigation check. There we go. Furthermore, the false levers are mimics that attack if touched. We'll just say that. I like that idea. That's really cool. That's really sweet. That attack if touched, and the cobra will be triggered as well. So that's a pretty cool room, guys. I think we got that room pretty tricked out. I like that. We should probably move on to other things just for the sake of time. It's approaching 9 o'clock, and I really want to get this done tonight. So there's a lot of good ideas I think we had for this. We're gonna settle on that just for the sake of time, because we could trick this room out indefinitely and make it even cooler and cooler. So we got like a puzzle-ish type trap going on here. Message retracted. People keep retracting their messages. I don't know what that means. I'll have to go on a live stream sometime. I don't go on a whole lot of live streams and like see what this message retracting thing is. If you pull the wrong lever, it eats you. Absolutely. Oh no, Josh, we are pitching encounter ideas. In fact, we need encounters for CR2 or C2 and C3. We still need a couple encounters for this, guys. We need to get, so we got C4 done, and now let's move on to C2 and C3. So we are totally pitching encounter ideas. Let's see what he had set up here. Josh, I'm trying to find. You had said something up here. This is always something I struggle with, guys. Is scrolling through all your guys' chat. And we did like a question and answer on one of our live streams where like literally the live stream was me reading your chat and answering your questions. And the deal that we made is that when I got to the very bottom of the chat and I had answered all the questions, that we would end for the night. And so I struggle with chat. There's not a whole ton of it, but there's enough of it where I can't find stuff. So Josh, if you want to retype your idea, here we go. Souls bound to objects in the room, such as totems or runes. Okay, so you got like a ghost or something that could be in there. Truemate says if you want to use a mimic, try Cobblestorm from Tomb of Beasts. A mimic that looks like cobblestones on a path. That's a good idea. I think I have the Tomb of Beasts thing too. All right, I'm looking for encounter ideas. Again, I'm scrolling through chats and stuff, seeing what I can find here. Oh yeah, in a cave system, mimic rocks, absolutely. Michael, that's a good idea. Tree or stone bound souls. How would we do that? How would we implement that? What I want to do for that is I don't want to create a custom monster tonight. I want to use ones that already exist. It makes our lives so much easier. We could spend the next hour creating a custom monster. So if you have one in mind that we could use and kind of retheme it or something, we could do that. Let me see. Make detecting the wear the difficult check. Yeah, Prophet, you know what? You're right. That's a good call. Detecting the wear on the levers should be more difficult. So let's make that a DC 15 there. That's a little bit more difficult. It would be really cool if they pulled the wrong lever and got attacked by a mimic. I would want that to happen in my game because that's really cool. If they got the right one, it's kind of disappointing in a way for the dungeon master at least. For the players, they don't know what could have happened. So sometimes I have players that intentionally set off traps because they want to know what would happen if the trap got set off. Because if you disable the trap and move beyond it, you don't know what would have happened. I crap you not. I have a couple players who intentionally set off traps because they want to know what the trap does. And usually people take a bunch of damage. And I think it's hilarious. All right, we're looking for it. We have some encounter ideas already up here. The werebats. I like that idea about the werebats that somebody had. And the corpse flower was a good idea too. CR2 is a try-here troll. There could be a brewing room with a couple minor black fleck oozes. So we have what we have already. What was that? Who said that? Was that Fierce? Yeah. Sorry. Fierce. This room right here, the totem chamber, already has a couple of those black oozes in it that are going to drop down on them from the ceiling. And so I think we got that covered. Someone said blights. We already have other evil plants. Yes, we could do blights, absolutely. In all the blights die, fire. A gnome burial room. This place's original purpose has restless gnome ghosts from their tomb being defiled. I like that idea. So we could do some ghosts. A thin path with black sludge on either side. Yeah, I like that. A flex treant. What? I don't understand what flex treant means. I know what a treant is. I don't know what the descriptive flex before it means. For a gnome, a small path is fine. Anything bigger could be a problem. You could put bugbears in living in C3. Yeah, we could do bugbears. A mushroom spore or fungus in the air causing conditions and saving throws. That's a good idea, Bromos. We could do something like that. That's a you know what, Bromos? That is a good idea for a trap in this corridor right here. The corridor between C4 and C5, I wanted to make this have like a trap in it. I think that is what we're going to do. We're going to make that a mushroom or a fungus trap right here in this corridor. So let's let me make a note here. So for C, let's do a little thing. Let's do a little thing here. What heading level am I using? Heading level 2. So we'll say corridor between C4 and C5. And then there is going to be a fungus spore trap. We will come back to that in a second. We will definitely hit that, dude. That's a good idea. I like that. But we were on a roll with encounter creation, so I want to make sure we get that. So infected treant, yeah, a helpful revenant. Oh, you know what? Little CMB, that is a good idea, dude. Because I'll tell you what. One thing that I've noticed that I really like about modules or adventures that I purchase and read is not everything in the dungeon is lethal to you and wants to kill you. Occasionally you run into things that are helpful, and that adds a little bit of depth to it, and makes things more interesting. So I like that a lot. That is a really good idea. You know what we could do? We could take one of these rooms. Maybe it's right here. See this little, maybe it's this little corridor right here, this little dead end or something. Or one of these could be tomed. Yeah, let's make C2. No, let's make C3. Let's do C3. Let's make C3 the C3PO. The gnome burial chamber. So we'll say this room is filled with small. Oh, we'll say the walls of this room. The walls of this room are filled with small funerary recesses. I can't spell anything today. Some horrible spelling. For a writing major, you'd think I know how to spell. The walls of this room are filled with small funerary recesses, wherein lie the bones of gnomes. And then we'll say, the corruption has disturbed the spirits of the gnomes, causing how many? No, I liked. Somebody said ghosts, and I liked that idea. We could have like maybe 3 of these, or maybe a couple of them. We'll have to see what the CR is for a ghost, but maybe. Yeah, I wanted to do werebats. So this is going to be CR2 is going to be the werebat den. I don't know. There we go. We're doing werebats. I like that idea. So we'll do werebats over there. Drink a coffee. So we'll get back to that in a second. The gnome burial chamber. The corruption has disturbed the spirits of the gnome. Yeah, what I was saying is, before the chat distracted me, is we should have like maybe 2 ghosts or something that actually are hostile to the characters. And then one of them is a helpful ghost that doesn't attack them and wants to help them. Maybe we do something like that. Actually, you know what? No. I don't like that idea anymore. I just changed my mind. These are gnomes. The gnome spirits would probably view the players as helpful. Not as invaders, but as there to help them. And so I don't think we want to turn this into a combat. Let's have C3 be purely a role-playing, like a social interaction is what I call them, where the players will find these spirits flitting around and they will talk with them, and they might get one of them to help them. The corruption has disturbed the spirits of the gnomes, causing one of them to return as a ghost. And I'm curious what the CR is of a ghost. So let's take a look at the ghost in the monster manual and see what the CR is for that. This is the other huge, massive awesomeness about PDFs, that you can just find them really fast and find what you need. These are totally legal PDFs for the record. Ghost. It is a CR4. Okay. I think that's cool. We should the ghost could help them. It could become their ally. They could convince the ghost to actually fight on their side. I think having a mechanic like that is super, super helpful. I don't know if I want to make it a ghost, though. A CR4 is pretty hefty. and it is resistant to a lot of different things, has lots of immunities. What if we make this something a little bit less well, CR4. No, that's okay. Let's keep it a ghost. Let's let it be a oh no. Look at the damage a ghost can do. That's a lot of damage. This might be too powerful to fight on their side. I don't know. Like, I think it's cool to have a mechanic where the players can get like a creature to help them out and stuff, but we want to be careful about giving them too much help. We don't want the ghost to overshadow the players themselves, right? We want it to be helpful, but not to overshadow them. And it messes with our like challenges and making things too easy and crap like that. So I almost think that the ghost might be too powerful. So there are probably some alternatives. There are wraiths, which I'm pretty sure are CR4s as well. They're CR5, so that does not help us. There are shadows. There are specters. A specter is a low enough level. I think it's a CR2 maybe? Or is it? Come on, you can find it. There we go. It's a CR1. That's not too bad. I wouldn't mind having a CR1 help them out. That's pretty cool. I like that. A poltergeist. Yeah, no, not a ghost. Let's see. Let's look at a poltergeist. Where's a poltergeist? I don't think that's a thing, dude. I don't see poltergeist in the monster manual. But yeah, it's basically a specter. I think we're gonna go with specter because that is not as powerful as a ghost. Ghost is like pretty, and it can possess things. So ghosts are pretty nasty, and the player wouldn't actually be running the ghost. The dungeon master would be running the ghost. So it gives something a little complex for the dungeon master to have to run in every single fight. Ostensibly like a DMPC type of thing. I don't know. Maybe not that bad. Anyway, we're going to make it a specter. I like that idea. But I forget who came up with that idea, but that's a really great idea. The original idea was a helpful revenant. Actually, we should look at the revenant because that was the original idea. I forget who had that idea, but that was a really great idea. A revenant. A revenant is a CR5, so that again, that is a little too high for us to be able to use. But I definitely like the idea of a helpful creature, and we're going to make it a specter. That's totally within the challenge rating that we're looking for. All right. The walls of this room, blah, 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 return as a specter. The specter, the gnome specter is helpful. Let's make a role playing. I like to do these things where I do like role playing note. The gnome specter is not what do you want to say it? He's not an enemy. He's not an enemy of the players. He's not aggressive. There's a word. I'm forgetting that word. Hostile. There we go. It's not hostile to the characters. Instead, it asks them to help rescue. It asks them to help rescue its, what do you want to call it? Rescue the other gnomes in areas, because we have, if this specter is roaming around, it knows that there are other gnomes being held like captive and stuff. Because we have, I don't think I mentioned this yet, but these three rooms right here, the gnome workshops, and I already have this written out in the adventure, but there are a bunch of gnomes in there that are busy working for the ogre shaman, brewing more black flecks. And they're all basically being enslaved by the ogre shaman. And so that specter is completely aware of that going on in these rooms. So that specter could be helpful and ask them to help rescue his relatives. And it could also tell them about the ogre shaman and what he's doing. So let's put that information in here. Where did that go? Oh, I lost my spot. Gnome burial chamber. There we go. What areas were those? Oh, areas C6. It asks them to help rescue the other gnomes in areas C6 and can tell them about the ogre shaman in area... What area was that? C7. There we go. In C7. Good. We don't want we do not want the Spectre to give them too much information. For instance, we don't want the Spectre to tell them about the trap. We wouldn't want the Spectre to tell them about maybe the werebats that might be hiding in here. So we want to use the Spectre to give them a little bit of information that makes them feel rewarded for having conversed with the Spectre, but we don't want to just lay out everything for them, because that takes away the fun and the mystery of exploring the cave system for themselves. So we do want to be careful with that. There we go. Bum, 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 bum. And then we will say the Spectre can be convinced to help the characters with a DC. We're going to make this really easy. We're going to say it's a DC 8. DC 8 charisma persuasion check. And you know what? If you're running this, if I were running this, I probably wouldn't even require a check. If one of the players is like, hey, you know what? Will you help us rescue your friends? Then I would just have the Spectre say, yes, I will. So you totally wouldn't even have to have this be a check. This could just be a thing where the Spectre helps them. But we'll leave it like that. I think a DC 8 is probably pretty easy to hit. So there we go. And then that Spectre will help them. Sweet. I like it. The gnome is a Spectre. Got it. So we have that all set in the gnome burial chamber. Awesome. Let's move on to the werebat den over here in C4. And let me see if I can see anything. Oh, hey Paul, what's going on, man? A tinker ghost that only uses his ghost inventions. Inspector Gnome. That's awesome, dude. I like that. It's really cool. Bromos is drinking coffee with hot chocolate mixed in. That is really good. Actually, what I've done before is sometimes we go to these places that have lots of different choices for coffee and hot chocolate, and I'll fill my mug up halfway with coffee and then the other halfway with hot chocolate, and oh man, it's really, really good. Four Elemental says, Luke, make sure you remember what the black flecks do to organic material, so the gnomish bones on the floor should be metal. Oh, that's a very good point, dude. So what Four Elemental is saying, he was with us in our other live streams where we talked about this, but the black flecks, when they touch organic material, they turn it into metal. Oh, well, that's very nice. My monitor just flashed, went black on me. So anyway, we need to have those bones. More than likely, the black flecks have crawled over these gnomes we're imagining, or these bones of the gnomes we're imagining, so they should be turned to metal. So let's put in a little note here. And we're actually let's go back up here. The bones are made. No, we'll say the bones have been turned to metal by the black flecks. There we go. Because we have this corruption mechanic up here. We wrote that somewhere. I don't know where we put it offhand at the time, but I know that we made that a thing in one of our live streams. And so I'm not gonna track it down right now. But there we go. It's in the adventure now. Good deal. I like it. All right, next thing we're going to do is we are going to figure out this werebat den up here, and we're going to pull up. So you said this was in, what did we call it? What was the name of that bad boy? Stand by. It was in a module. It was in the module I just reviewed. Adventure modules. Dungeon of the Mad Mage. All right, rock and roll. Burp. There we go. So usually dungeon denizens are at the end. So what we're looking at here is Dungeon of the Mad Mage, and there is a werebat, which starts with a W. So we are gonna see my table of contents here. Isn't as nice. Oh, there we go. Werebat. Well, that looks really cool. It looks like a goblin turned into a werebat. Yeah, that's really cool. Oh, it is. It's a goblin. It's a goblin shape changer. That's cool. All right, and it's a CR2. Awesome. So we're gonna do some cool stuff with that. We're gonna put that bad boy in our C2 right here. So what we need to do is we need to figure out like how many we're going to have, what they're doing, what the conditions of the encounter are, how the encounter happens, and all that kind of stuff. But before we get into that, I am going to take a brief intermission to run to the bathroom because coffee, and I have prepared for you a very special treat. So I will be back momentarily. All right, and I'm back. So, I see somebody was like, at least we get intermission music now. Yeah, I decided to prepare something a little special. So that's the cat Tay-Tay. I don't know what she was doing, but like for some reason we had like a little bag there with like some trash in it or something that we were about to take outside, and she like crawled in it and was like lying in it, curled up and stuff, and there happened to be like, you know, an adult beverage bottle next to her. And so I got like the awesomest little picture there. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. And yeah, we got intermission music and all that kind of good stuff. So let us pop back over to what we were working on. We're working on a werebat. Let me just take a look at chat. I think I have been neglecting the chat. So let's see what we got going on over here. Bob. Oh, what is the gnome specter's name? Very good point. Philip. We should name our gnome specter. We said Bob. Gadget Lestrade. Somebody said Mathos. What's the current encounter? We're gonna be doing the werebat den, but right now we're on the gnome specter in the gnome burial chamber, CR3. Gadget Lestrade is cool. Are the werebats infected with black flecks? They could be. They don't have to be. Let's do Oh, that's right, for Elemental. The black fleck doesn't turn organic material into metal, it turns them into clockworks. That's true. In the case of bones, though, we could have them be metal. Maybe they're in the process of being turned into clockworks, and they just haven't like assembled into it or something. At any rate, Aria Bromos, it sounds like you might be taking off. I'm glad you enjoyed the live stream, man. Take care, dude. You're folding laundry. I hate folding laundry. Like, I'll wash the clothes, I will carry the clothes up and down the stairs and stuff, but I hate folding them for whatever reason. I would rather do lots of other... I'd rather go out on the lawn and, like, weed flowers or something than fold clothes. I got distracted. We were on something. We were naming the gnome. All right. Naming the gnome. Gadget Lestrade. Somebody said Gadget Lestrade has disturbed the spirits of the gnomes, causing one of them, named Gadget Lestrade. What are they? It's caused one named Gadget Lestrade to return as a specter. Because you know darn well that your players will ask what the name of the gnome is. Absolutely. No doubt about it. So there you go. We have a werebat den. I was reading the chat too to see what people were saying. So Josh says, should there be a small quest or something the specter asks of them to help them with before helping? That's a possibility. I don't mind that idea. What would the quest be like? What would the specter ask them to do? Because he basically wants them to... what would the specter's motivations be? He would want them to help clear out this bad stuff, rescue his friends and stuff like that. Let me know what you think the quest should be, Josh, or anybody else for that matter, and we might be able to do something there. In the meantime, while we're brainstorming that... Oh, Bromus is still here. Okay, cool, dude. Glad you're still with us, man. He's multitasking. Yeah, totally. What were we going to do? Werebats. So while we're thinking about that little side quest that the specter might ask of them, let's populate our werebat cave. So the werebats are CR2, so they're 450 XP. So what we need to do is decide how many werebats there are going to be to ambush them or something. So I'll just pop in a number. What if there are 2 of them? That's a medium encounter. Now there are 5 characters, a medium encounter. Now if you look here, the adjusted difficulty rating for 2 werebats is 1350, which is just barely a medium encounter. Let's make there be 3 of them, and that makes it deadly. It pushes it over into deadly. I mean, it just barely makes it deadly. And let's take a look at the werebat. Do they look particularly challenging? Okay, the first thing we got going on here, their armor class is pathetic, so they're gonna get hit very easily. I don't know if you guys can see this. I'll try to zoom in a little bit for you. The armor class of a werebat is like 13, so they're gonna get hit every time they get attacked. They have 24 hit points, and so they're probably gonna survive maybe a round. Okay. Now, the only thing they have going for them is their damage immunities. They're immune to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks not made of silvered weapons. So, the question then is, at level 4, will the player characters have magic weapons or not? The chances are good they might have one, but 5th edition generally recommends that I think the players get their first magical weapon around level 5-ish or so. I suspect that most Dungeon Masters ignore that and just throw out magic weapons, would be my guess. So there's a good chance that the players already have a magic weapon. If they don't, they might have a silvered weapon. My players usually don't take those sorts of precautions, so there's a good chance that none of the melees will have weapons that can even hurt a werebat. However, there's generally a caster or somebody who can do firebolt or something to be able to hurt them. So that is actually a potential thing that will make this encounter much, much more difficult than it otherwise would be. So, 1 magic weapon, 2 spellcasters. Look at their bite. What can their bite do? It's a +5 to hit, piercing damage, and the werebat gains temporary hit points equal to the damage dealt. Ooh, that's a good bite. If the target is a humanoid, it must succeed on a DC 10 Constitution save or be cursed with werebat lycanthropy. So these werebats are a little bit definitely tougher than their armor class and hit points suggest. There's a good chance that the players won't be able to hurt them very much, and they're getting temporary hit points constantly. So that means that it's going to be harder to take them down because they're constantly getting temporary hit points. Now they're going to average 6 temporary hit points, right? Which is a little bit of buffer between damage. So, you know what? We might not want to make that deadly. Considering all of these things, it might be wiser for us to just have 2 of these guys and let it be a medium encounter. Because these werebats got a lot of cool stuff going for them. It could be, if they have no way to hurt them, if you have no spellcasters and nobody with magic weapons and nobody with silvered weapons, like, you can't hurt these things. That could be really nasty. TPK. Or everybody running away at the very least. So, 2 werebats and a dire bat. Ooh, that's a good idea, dude. I like that. Revan. Hey, Revan, what's up, dude? Glad you could join us, man. 2 werebats and a dire bat. Let's do that. Let's find the dire bat. That's probably in the monster manual. I will wager a guess, and it's probably going to be in miscellaneous creatures. I mean, I have not heard of a dire bat before, actually. Let's see. Dire wolf. I don't have a dire bat here. Do we have a giant bat? How about a giant bat? Is a giant bat a thing? I'm just scrolling here. I don't have like hyperlinks for all this stuff. Giant bat. There we go. Giant bat. Now a giant bat is a CR 1/4. Yeah, let's just have 1 giant bat in there. So that's 50 XP. So we'll add a row here. 50 XP. And we'll put 1 of these in there. Well, that makes it hard. Okay, so that's cool. I kind of like that. If you have silver weapons, you still have 1 weapon. Silver coins. So what I'm imagining for elemental is like, if you can't hurt these things, you take like a bunch of your silver coins and you put them like in between your knuckles. So you're kind of like making silver knuckles, right? And you get your hands all full of these silver knuckles, and then you're like, you know, punching at these werebats and stuff with like silver coins in between your fists and stuff. That right there could be a thing, man. That is how you fight lycanthropes. If you don't have silvered weapons. That's pretty cool, man. All right, so anyway, what I want to do though, one of the things that I do when I make my adventures is at the very, very beginning of them, I keep track of all the monsters that I have in the adventure, and I write down some useful information about them. And so we just added werebats. So we're going to write them down here, werebats. And they are from, what's the name of that again? Oh, Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage. And I like to write, this is just all for reference for me. I don't know why I do it. It sometimes comes in handy to know all this stuff. But it's on page 317, and it's 2,450. So let me write this down. 317, it's a CR2, 450 XP. Just for easy reference, so I can find it next time I'm referencing it. And then we have a giant bat that we were going to put in here. And the giant bat is on Monster Manual, page 323, and it was 1/450. So, oh, I already forgot it. 323. Page 323, there was a CR 1/4, and it was 50 XP. Awesome. There we go. There's our roster of monsters right there for you. And so the werebat den. So let's get this. We will say 2 werebats and 1 giant bat cling to the ceiling of this chamber. We will say they cling silently to the ceiling of this chamber. Now what we're going to do is they're hanging silently, and when the players come walking into the chamber, oh, you know what we're going to say? We're gonna say cling silently to the. We're gonna make the ceiling pretty tall. We're gonna make the ceiling about 40 feet tall. 40 feet tall ceiling of this chamber. That way it's pretty tall up, high up, and so these things are like clinging to the very top of the ceiling, and they're gonna be up there silently hanging on the ceiling. So when the players enter the room, the creatures kind of wake up, they look down, they think dinner, and they're getting ready to attack. I don't think there'd be any reason not to attack. They're pretty evil creatures, so I think they would just swoop down and attack them. It's a little ambush scenario. So what we're going to do, though, is generally speaking, what you would do is you would have your creatures that are hiding roll like hide checks, And then the players, we would go against their passive perception. In this case, I think what we could do is we will use a passive stealth check for the werebats. And so the way we're going to do that is I'm just making this up on the spot, really. We can turn anything passive by taking 10 and adding the modifier. So they have +5 to stealth. So their passive stealth, we'll say, if you don't want to roll for it, is 15. So basically the difficulty class, the DC, for spotting them would be 15. And so that is what we will say here. The creatures can be spotted with a DC 15 wisdom perception check. And then we will say the creatures attack the characters, gaining a surprise round. Gaining surprise, I think. It's not actually a surprise round, it's just surprise. Gaining surprise, if possible, once they have moved to the center of the chamber. And the reason I put this move to the center of the chamber mechanic here, guys, there's a reason I did that. The main reason is that I'm trying to avoid a scenario where I have one character in the room and they swoop down to attack that one character, and then all the other characters are in this tunnel, and then we have like tunnel warfare going on. I really want to have the players or the characters be more exposed before that ambush comes down. Now, the one thing that comes to my mind, though, is that if there's nothing interesting in this room, then the players might turn around before they actually come into the room. So we should actually place something interesting in this room that the characters are going to want to come in here and explore. Okay? Why don't we put... Somebody previously in the stream said something about an iron cobra in a box. So what we could do is just put a box in the room, and then we could have an iron cobra inside it, or we could just have a locked chest with nothing in it, purely designed to lure them into the room. Maybe there are a few like copper coins or gold coins even scattered next to the chest, so that it's kind of like this temptation to come up to it even. And they might even be suspicious that the chest is a mimic or something like that, but it won't be, of course. The chest is purely something designed to lure them into the room so that they will investigate more. And so let's do something like that. I like that idea. So let me get that in there. The chamber is empty except for a locked chest against the far wall. Several gold coins are scattered in front of the chest. There we go. That should be enough to entice them to go check it out, I think. So there we go, something like that. So we got some werebacks, we got a giant bat, and we have a little ambush scenario planned for them. So that should be somewhat interesting, I guess. So the next thing, let's see if anybody said anything. If you need to weaken the weapons, you can use it too long. They become bronze scouts as they finish transforming to clockwork. Oh, here's an idea. Prophet Isaiah says perhaps a sling and some silver shot can be found in room C1. That's interesting. A sling and some silver shot. Let's put it somewhere. That's a good idea. Let's put it somewhere else, though. Instead of putting it in the cave system, let's put it further back in the adventure, so they have a chance to discover it further back. I'm thinking it might be in one of these like gnome habitations. So what we'll do is let's come up here when they're exploring the village. Let's say that let's put a thing here, and let's say while they're exploring the village, let's say the third house that they explore contains a contains several slings. We'll say 20. Well, no, we'll say 40 sling bullets and 10 silver sling bullets. There we go. So now there's an opportunity for them to, earlier in the adventure, find the silver sling bullets. And the reason I put it a little bit earlier is I want it to be more detached from the actual werebats they run into so that it isn't quite as obvious to them that, oh, we have to use silver to hurt them. I want it to be something that they find quite a ways back in the adventure. It makes it more challenging for them to put two and two together and figure out why they found those things. And that could even span a session. They might even go from one session to the other and have some time to even forget more about it and stuff like that. So there we go. We got that. That's a good idea, though. I like that. Planting weapons that are actually going to help them in the adventure. Especially if we think our players might not have silver and the werebats might be super challenging for them. So that's good. I like that. All right. The bait, the bones of gnomes they have killed, which have been transmuted to silver and can be used as clubs. That's not a bad idea, dude. I like that. Let's do that. Let's say that in that werebat den, the chamber is empty except for a locked chest against the far wall. Several gold coins are scattered in front of the chest, and a small gnome femur bone lies against one wall. We'll say the bone has been turned to silver by the black flecks. There we go. Or is that a little too obvious? That might be a little too obvious. I'm going to leave it in there. That might be a little too obvious for the players, right? It's like, oh, werebats, we can't hurt them. Oh, there's a silver bone lying nearby. Let's go get it and attack them. So we'll leave it in there, but it might be a little too obvious. So DM discretion, take that out if you want to. All right, we need to keep going. Yeah, Bromos says foreshadowing is a super immersion trick. Absolutely, dude. It's great. And that's why I wanted to foreshadow that earlier in the adventure too. Because they're going to be like exploring these houses and stuff and then randomly find like silver bullets. You know what I mean? So, yeah. It says, have you looked at the Ogre Howdah in Mordenkainen's? No, I don't. It doesn't come to mind. Let's take a look at it. We're at 9:32, guys, and we wanted to get through a lot of stuff tonight, and I don't think we're going to get through it all. We wanted to get through creating the encounters, which I feel like we're pretty much done with the encounters. I think we filled out all the encounters. We got C2 done, we got C3 done, we put something in C4. These other ones have already been done, so I think we have finished the encounters for tonight. Let's take a look at this Ogre Howdah. I don't think we're going to be able to use it at all, little CMB, just because we're getting late tonight, and we're probably going to have to put off rolling and distributing loot until the next live stream or something, because I don't want to rush that, because that in my opinion, rolling loot on the tables and figuring out what is going to be in the adventure is a really fun process. And then also distributing it throughout the adventure. What you guys may have been noticing is that we haven't been putting any loot at all in this adventure. And there's a reason for that. Usually what I do is a lot of times I create the adventure to begin with, and then I roll on the loot tables and I figure out what loot there is, and then I go through all of the different rooms and places in the adventure, and I decide where are the logical places that they would find loot. Sometimes the loot is hidden, sometimes it's like squirreled away, other times it's a little more obvious. Obviously, we have a treasure, what did I call it? A treasure hoard, where there's going to be some loot there. But one of the fun things about doing this whole thing is rolling the loot up and then placing it. And I usually save that to the end of the adventure or sometimes midway through. But yeah, I don't usually roll it first. I certainly don't roll it first. Sometimes I forget until the end too, and then I do it then. But we're probably going to do that next time we have a live stream. But we can probably, since we have the encounters done now, we can probably start working on the trap. So we had, actually, I think we already had an idea for a trap. Somebody gave us an idea before. Where is it? I lost it now. The corridor between C4. So somebody had an idea for a fungus spore trap. So we're gonna do that tonight. We can probably get that done, I think. Before we go on to that, yes, Fierce says loot is the most important part of any campaign. Yeah, dude. I mean, seriously, they're like, of all of the things that like drive players to play your game, loot is probably one of the greater ones, right? I mean, players love leveling up. They love getting more powerful. Most players like killing stuff. You know, players like role-playing, like social interactions and stuff like that. But they universally usually love getting loot, cool magic items and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely we don't want to skimp on that. We want to take some time and make sure we do that well. So, Bromo says loot is fun but complicate balancing to not overpower the PC, messing with future encounters. I agree, totally agree, dude. What I've done so far is I literally just roll on the tables in the Dungeon Master Guide, and there is a recommendation for the number of times you roll on each table for the different level ranges throughout the entire campaign. And I have just literally followed those recommendations. And what I found two things. One, I have found that the players end up getting more gold than they have any idea what to do with. And so I figured out creative ways for them to spend their gold or lose their gold on dumb stuff or whatever. And the magic item distribution, I don't think has been too bad. I think it seems mostly balanced, but it's random loot tables, so if you roll really well on them, they could end up getting something really powerful. So that's the nature of that. But I always use DM discretion as well. If I roll super well and they get like a +3 sword at level, I don't know, 6 or something, I'm probably going to reconsider that, because I think a +3 sword is like a legendary item, right? So anyway, I should stop blathering on about loot and actually get to the trap so we can get it done. And I told somebody that we were going to look at the Ogre Howdah as well. So let's take a look at that real quick in Morning Canaan's. Ogre Howdah. I wonder what page. See, this is one of the things that annoys me about. There we go. Never mind. It doesn't annoy me anymore. I just found it. Ogre Howdah is on page 221. Let's see. Ogre Howdah. Whoops. What? Oh, I'm pushing the wrong button. The ogre carries a compact fort on its back. Oh my gosh, this is like exactly what we oh my gosh, amazing! I didn't see this. This is exactly what we were designing. I'm glad you brought this up, dude, because like way back here, this ogre right here that I talked about wearing wooden platforms and stuff, like that's exactly what this dude does. So we should just have it be an Ogre Howdah from Morning Canaan's on page 221. Awesome. I love it. Ogre Howdah. Thanks for bringing that up, dude. That is totally relevant to this entire adventure, the very beginning at least. Awesome. And that is from Morning Canaan's Tomb of Foes on page, what page was that? 221 or something? 221? Perfect. Perfect, man. I love it. I'm just trying to do a little housekeeping. There we go. That should do it. Perfect. Perfect. All right. What we need to do now is get that trap. If we don't start working on that trap, we are not going to finish it. So we gotta cut down on the distractions. Now, what I want to do for the trap, guys, is totally. Thanks for mentioning that, dude. I appreciate that. Let me see. I got distracted again. Dungeon Master Guide. Where is this bad boy? There we go. So there's a trap section in the Dungeon Master Guide on page 120. And it talks about traps, because that's what the trap section does in the Dungeon Master Guide. It's got a bunch of junk in here. Mostly what I look at, it has a lot of guidelines. It has examples of traps in here. Pretty useful stuff. They're all pretty basic traps. There's nothing really super special about these traps. But it gives you an idea of trap making and stuff like that. What I mostly use it for is these little blocks right here. They tell me, what is this? So there's a hair across the scanner, it looked like, when this went in. That's awesome. So, this is going to help us decide how much damage our trap should be doing in the game. So we're going to be referencing this when it comes time to do it. But now I want to pop back over to here because I have like a little thingy. It's a quick part, or what do they call it here? Insert, standby. Yeah, it's a quick part. I have a quick part in Word for traps. And basically, it is, where is that? Trap template. Here's my trap template, and so I just click it, and boom, it drops this template here, and then I can fill in information about it. And I think I took this information, this like basic template is from, I think I got it from Unearthed Arcana. There was a trap thing in it, but I believe they ended up putting a lot of this template-ish sort of thing in Xanathar's as well. And obviously this is not a blade trap. This is a fungus spore trap. And now what kind of trap is this? It's a simple trap. There's nothing super complicated about it, I think. Now we don't want it to be level 5 to 10. And this is where we're going to come into the DMG. This is for a level, this is level 4th, PCs and whatnot. So this is character levels 1 through 4. So we're going to say it's a level 4. And now if we want to make it deadly, it could do up to 4d10 damage. We might just make it dangerous though. So we'll call it a dangerous trap. It's a level 4 trap. It'll be dangerous. It's a level 1 to 4, and it's going to be dangerous. Now, what is the trigger going to be? So the idea of this spore trap, guys, is when they are coming down this corridor right here between C4 and C5, something is going to trigger this trap. And so we need to decide what that trigger is going to be. We did a pressure plate already. We did pressure plates up here. We could do things like little tripwires. I don't know. What else? What ideas do you guys have? We need to have a trigger for this spore trap. If we don't have a trigger, we have no trap. Let's see what we got going on over here. Okay, the fungus spores are pretty much metal, so inhaling metal dust should be the trap. Oh, yeah. Because it's organic material. And the fungus was organic fungus was probably turned to like a metalish type thing, a metal dust, by the black flecks. So yeah, yep, I'm on board with that. Fierce says all traps should deal 100 million damage. Is that a billion? I don't know. Instantly reduces players to fine red mist. All right, that's one way to go about it. They bribe, lie, seduce, intimidate, and manipulate their way to success instead of fighting it. 4 elemental. That sounds like a conversation I missed. A magic sensor. Yep, you could do that. The fungus could be heat sensitive. Ooh, I like that idea. That is a good idea. Because there is actually a fungus. I think there's one in the DMG that's heat sensitive or something. It could be. That's a good idea. Let's do this. What we'll do then, we'll have there be a patch of fungus just before the entrance to C5. All right, so this is where I am going to, there is a patch of fungus there's a patch of fungus in the corridor near the entrance to area C5 when there we go. I spelled that wrong. The trigger. So the trigger is the fungus is sensitive to heat. And when a warm-blooded creature or fire comes within 5 feet, Yep. 5 feet of it. It spews fine metal dust down the entire corridor. There we go. Bam. And the effect. Now, we said this was going to be dangerous, so it's going to be 2d10. Now, what kind of damage would this be? Fine metal dust kind of going into your lungs and stuff. What kind of that's a weird kind of damage. I don't know. I don't know what kind of damage, but it does 2d10 damage. We know it does 2d10 damage. And there needs to be some sort of save. Fine metal dust comes at you. It wouldn't be a dex save because the entire room gets filled up. I'm almost thinking it's a constitution save when this stuff kind of goes down into your lungs. Piercing damage. Magnesium dust. That's cool. Probably piercing or slashing. Hey, Yoda Slayer, what's going on, dude? Glad you could join us. Piercing or slashing. Poison damage by definition. It could be poison. I mean, metal poisoning is a thing for sure. I don't know. I can see poison. Poison seems you could do a fatigue level. That's a lot of good ideas, guys. Piercing. Look at the dust of choking and wheezing in the DMG. Okay. I'll take your word for it. It cuts your air sacs. Ooh, that's interesting. It is poison. Heavy metal All right, guys. We got to roll for this. All right. So this is what we got going on. We're going to roll for it. Wait, everybody's like piercing and then poison. So we're going to roll for it. I can totally see it being a sort of piercing where it cuts your air sacs. So I have a dice roller up here, and I'm going to roll a D100. And if the result is 80 or above, it's poison. If it's below 80, then we're going to go with piercing. All right, I rolled a 35. So it's going to be piercing. That's how we settle things around here. We roll dice because this is Dungeons and Dragons, and that's what we do. So it is going to be piercing damage. And there needs to be some sort of save. I'm almost thinking dexterity, not dexterity, constitution save. So let's make there be a... Now, in the Dungeon Master Guide, there are guidelines for how much damage and the DC. Where's the Dungeon Master's Guide? There we go. So if this is a dangerous trap, the recommended save DC is between a 12 and a 15, right? Which is pretty reasonable for this level. Let's make it a DC 13? A DC 13? Dex and hard to breathe. Heavy metals in the bloodstream are extremely toxic. I agree, dude. Totally. Piercing your blood cells, like some sort of poison maybe. Yeah. Metal flakes could also turn the characters to metal. Yeah, that'd be cool. They'd be like, what's the name of the X-Men guy? The guy who has like adamantine that like covers his skin. Colossus. Yeah, that'd be really cool. Your players all become Colossus, and their armor class is like 30 and nothing can hurt them. Oh, that'd be fun. Anyway, let's make the save DC like a 13. Save DC 13. So it's a DC 13. I kind of want to say it's a Constitution save. I don't know. It's a gray area to me. Constitution. Oh my gosh. I'm slaughtering my spelling today. Wow, there we go. Constitution save for half damage. There we go. Awesome. Countermeasures. Now, countermeasures for a trap are a few different things. First of all, how do they notice it, right? Yeah, so let's say... we'll say that a DC... It shouldn't be too hard to notice this patch of fungus. A DC 12 wisdom perception check reveals the presence of the fungus. Bam. And then I don't know, you can see the fungus is there. If you investigate the fungus, what would you learn about it? You might learn that it is a spitting fungus. So yeah, that sounds good. A DC, let's make this a little higher. So spotting the fungus is easy, but figuring out what it does might be a little bit more difficult. So let's call it a DC 15. And it's not an investigation check. This is like you're examining a fungus and then determining what it does. This feels like a nature check to me. So a DC 15, and it's going to be a wisdom nature check. Reveals that the fungus is of a variety that spits spores at warm-blooded creatures that come close to it. Bam. There we go. And the next thing that the players are going to probably want to do is they're going to want to destroy the fungus somehow or bypass it. Most likely they're going to try to destroy it. Now, here's what I'm thinking. I don't want to reward them for an obvious solution. So throwing fire on the fungus or shooting it with a firebolt should not result in them actually bypassing the trap. That is too obvious and too simple. I want it to be more complex than that. So, we already said the trigger. The trigger is already that when a warm-blooded creature or fire comes within 5 feet of it, it triggers. So if they just throw fire at it or shoot a firebolt at it, it will automatically cause it to trigger. Okay? So that's not going to solve it. But there should be a way for them to somehow... now there is a type of fungus in the Dungeon Master Guide that cold damages it and destroys it. Arthur says burning the fungus should release hallucinogenic gases. Yeah, it should definitely. Acid would be a nice touch to stop it. Acid, I like that idea. It should explode. Metal flex can ignite. Oh yes, that's a good idea. Let's put something on here. Let's put this in the trigger too. Throwing fire on the fungus or casting a fire-based spell on it causes it to burst apart, filling the entire corridor with the fine metal dust. There we go. We're going to write that in explicitly. Definitely cannot solve it by using fire. There were some good... Could it be frozen? That actually, Josh, that's what I was thinking. That freezing the fungus, because whoever finds a fungus or anything for that matter and thinks let's use cold on it, that is the least intuitive way to go about solving it, and I almost want to go with that. But there could be other. There doesn't have to only be one answer to it. So we can have it be susceptible to cold. Yeah, I'm sure. Fierce says, I'm sure players could come up with a use for a fungus that turns things to metal. Absolutely. I'm sure they could. Water damage. Water damage would probably destroy the fungus. Let's do those two things, because throughout this entire adventure, we have this mechanic where using water on corrupted things causes them 1d6 damage. And so I think that would be a viable solution as well. So let us say that countermeasures... casting a cold-based spell on the fungus, or pouring or covering it with water. Now, let's not actually have it destroy it. Let's have it make it innate or inert for a period of time. Covering with water causes the fungus to become inactive for let's just say 10 minutes. There we go. Let's do that. And then what we could say is acid can destroy the fungus. There we go. We have some basic countermeasures there. So I like that. And we have created a trap. And lo and behold, it is not 10 o'clock yet. We have 3 minutes until 10. So we got our trap done. I like it. That's a pretty cool trap. Oh, we did not do this thing right here. So there is a fungus. Oh, I already wrote that. There is a fungus spore trap at the end of this corridor.
See below.
All right, there we go. That is awesome. No color. Good. All right, guys. So what we actually managed to accomplish tonight is we populated all of these. Where are all those rooms? We populated this room with werebats and a giant bat. We put a gnome specter in here that can help our players. And we put like some iron cobras in here as part of like a pressure plate sliding door trap. And these are already all done. I think we did some really good progress tonight. The one thing we missed doing was rolling and distributing loot. So I was probably over ambitious in my goals for tonight. So what we are going to do is now I'm going to stand by. I'm going to consult my calendar. I'll let you guys know when I'm planning on doing the next stream for you, in case you're curious, because we're going to finish this up. I think the very next stream, I will plan on finishing this. Why am I seeing blinky, flashy stuff on my screen over here? Are you guys seeing the blinking and flashing on like my screen at all? I'm just curious. I swear I'm seeing stuff out of the corner of my eye that's going on over there. Anyway, the next stream is scheduled. It's going to be the 21st of December. Is that it? Yes. There we go, guys. So I am currently planning the next live stream 2 weeks from now. It'll be the 21st of December at like probably 8 o'clock p.m. It's a Friday, just like this one. And we will finish this up. We'll roll and distribute loot throughout the adventure. And I will put out like some announcements. Like if you guys aren't on my Discord, I encourage you to come hang out on the Discord with the rest of us. There's a link down in the description to it for you guys all. I usually announce on my Discord when the live stream is, just in case I change my plans. I'll announce it on Twitter and stuff like that to let you guys know. And I do a post on my YouTube channel. But the plan right now is to make it on, the video is flickering. I don't know why it's doing that. Has it been flickering all night, guys? Or is it just like randomly once in a while? Or has it constantly been flickering all night? I'm curious. Because I swear I've been kind of noticing it, but I wasn't sure if it was like my hands going up and I was just like catching stuff out of the corner of my eye. So better get that camera checked. Maybe it's the camera or it's something else. I'm not sure. Anyway, next live stream is scheduled for December 21st. Now, I think I just saw it again. I definitely saw it flicker. I'm not sure what that is. That's interesting. Has it been flickering all night? It's heavily flickering now. Oh, I saw it now. All right, that's interesting. I'll have to take a look at that. Sorry. I'm far from being a professional streamer. Somebody had a question here. So Bromos asked, how far do you think the characters will make it during the session? It's like flickering a whole bunch now. I'm going to ignore that. I will ignore that. I think the players in this is like several sessions, and it depends on how many sessions, how long is your session, and it depends on how fast your players usually get through it. But this adventure here is probably a solid, if my players were playing it, and my players, we run from about my weekend groups, we run from 4 p.m. until like 9 p.m. So that's like, let me do some quick math. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 5 hours, right? And I think it would probably take us at least 2 sessions to get through this from the very, very beginning of the adventure. Not the cave complex, but I'm talking like the very, very beginning of the adventure. Like all the way from the very beginning when they get the adventure and stuff and go into the gnome village. I'm pretty sure that would take us 2 or 3 sessions at least to get through this. And that's a 5-hour session for my groups, right? Your mileage may vary, obviously. But that's for my groups, I think. So that's my rough estimate of how long I think that would take. So Bromo says that it just started 5:19 minutes ago. Okay. So it didn't start past 20 minutes or so, give or take. Okay. Well, that's good to know. I might just have like a USB cord or something loose. I don't know. The batteries aren't dying on the camera. The camera I'm using is it's a Logitech webcam, and it's USB power. So there's no batteries in it and stuff like that. It wasn't before, but it is now. I'll check it out. I'll give it a good check. So Arthur asks, are all these streams connected? Like the NPC creation one is related to this dungeon. Couldn't help with host them. So, I do two types of, I have done two different types of streams so far, Arthur. One of the streams I really like doing, like a question and answer stream, where you guys just all come and ask me questions about dungeon mastering or whatever, about my cats or something, and then I answer those questions, obviously. So I've done those types of streams. I've done a few of those, and I've also done two other adventure creation streams in addition to this one, which makes us three. And those three are all all related, right? So we started off at the very first adventure creation stream, which you can go, it's on the channel, you can go find it. We started off with a blank slate, basically, for this corrupted gnome village, and we started creating it from scratch. So you can go watch that. And then we continued the second stream, we continued working on it, and now this is the third stream where we've continued working on it. And we're gonna have a fourth stream, it looks like, where we finish it off by creating the loot and distributing the loot. So the adventure creation streams are all connected, absolutely. And if you want, you can watch them all in order. If you find that interesting, the thing that I like about it is that you might find it useful, actually, because the streams, I basically, together, we're walking through the process that I follow for creating adventures, and you might find that useful just to see how somebody else creates adventures, right? And obviously the final Word document is posted down below in the description and stuff, so you can download it and refer to it and stuff. It might be helpful. Sometimes it's helpful. Sometimes it's helpful for dungeon masters are like extremely creative people, right? We're creating adventures, we're running awesome games and stuff like that. And sometimes it's helpful for a creative to see how somebody else does something, to give him ideas and stuff like that. So hopefully this is helpful for you guys. So, Bromo says, Tay-Tay the cat messing around behind. You know what? I should go check behind there. I'll probably find like a beer bottle back there with Tay-Tay, screwing around my cords. Fierce is, thanks, Fierce. I'm glad you enjoyed the live stream. Guys, I love doing the live streams. It's so much fun for me. Like my normal videos that I do are like, I enjoy them, but they're a lot of work as well. But the live streams are really cool because we just get to hang out. We can talk. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of fun for me. So I look forward to the live streams. Totally look forward to them. Let's see. Little CMB says, will you implement anything if we suggest things in the comments after the video, if it's a good idea? Yeah, sure. I'd be open to that, dude. Not a problem, man. If you got some good ideas, throw them down there. I think, too, it's a good point you bring up, too, because I am 100% positive that I missed a lot of stuff that you guys suggested up in the comments above that were probably really good suggestions. And also the nature of having like several people making suggestions is that I can't do all of them, right? And so there are probably lots of really good suggestions I saw that we just couldn't do because we can't do everything, right? So I will definitely open to incorporating things that you guys leave in the comments on the replay. So that's a good point. People on the replay, you could leave comments down below, and I could go back in here and tweak things a little bit. So totally, dude. So Bromas likes the adventure creation streams. Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoy them, dude. I'm glad you find them fun, man. We could probably do more of these, for sure. They're a little like they require a lot more effort, I think, than like the question and answer ones. But if you guys are getting value out of it and finding them helpful, then heck yeah, we can keep doing that. And we could do a thing too where we might do a community poll and figure out what adventures you guys want to create. We could do a thing where we do a poll to see what level adventure we're going to create together and stuff like that. And so we could do stuff like that. That'd be a lot of fun. Now, just as a note, this adventure we're creating is like, it's not as clean and as I usually create my adventures, like because we're on a live stream and I'm regulated to like typing really quickly while I'm talking to you, and I'm trying to do things really quick. I'm resorting to lots of bullet points, lots and lots of bullet points, which are a good thing. But usually I flesh things out a little bit better than this. But anyway, I don't think you need to. I think this is pretty darn usable as is. I suspect that this is pretty legitimate. Anyway, that's a side tangent, I guess. Fierce says, I had a question for the next Q&A that came up in a game of mine. Yeah, ask it, dude. Go ahead and ask it. We're in overtime. We are in overtime. I've already gone over, so you might as well just ask it now that you got me talking. Arthur says, are you implementing what is being created here in your games? Yes, I am, Arthur. Four Elemental wants to know how many cats I have. I will tell you in a moment, dude. This adventure right here, Arthur, I am running right now in my Wonder Panda campaign. This is a campaign that I have at work. We meet every Thursday at lunch hour, and we just get together in a conference room at my job, and we play D&D. And so this Corrupted Gnome adventure, we started playing 2 sessions ago. So last week on Thursday, we began playing this. And so far, it's been pretty cool. They have just gotten into the village, and they encountered the first stone defender. And they're still in the fight with one stone defender, and they're having a really hard time of it because the stone defender is. Let's take a look at this real quick. Where is this bad boy? The stone defender. Oh man, I'm gonna have to find it. What page is it on? Come on, baby. Why are you doing that? The stone defender. I want to reference this. I want to make sure I get this right. It's on page 126. Or not. The stone defender is immune to poison, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks that aren't adamantine. So my players do not have adamantine weapons. They don't have any magical weapons. So they're having a really hard time damaging this bad boy. So it's giving them a run for their money right now. They're in the middle of a combat with it, and they have not done a whole lot of damage to it. So they're having a fun time at it. Let me see. For Elemental, I want to know how many cats I have. This is an interesting story. So we took in a family of stray cats. Well, here's the thing. We saw this cat outside our house about, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. And the cat was like clearly needed help. You know, she was like meowing and coming up to me and stuff. And so we started feeding her. And we put like a dish of food out on our deck. And then one day, my wife is calling to me, and she's like, Luke, come up here and look at this. This was a mother cat. And she had, how many kids did she have? 4? 3. No, she had 3 little kittens. So you had mama cat and 3 little kittens that came up to the deck. The kittens were all like under the deck this whole time, like sleeping under there and stuff, I guess. And so the mom and the 3 kittens came up on the deck and we began feeding them and stuff. And then I ended up taking them into the house and getting them down to the basement, which is now their den, right? So occasionally, like during the live streams, you might hear the cats doing crazy stuff because this is like their area. But the mom was pregnant with more kittens, and we ended up getting 1 more out of the deal. So that gave us 5 kittens, if I can get my fingers right. So then we had the mom and then 4 of the kittens, okay? That gave us 5. And then my daughter and I were going to the YMCA to like work out and stuff, and there was another stray cat outside there, and like, I guess I'm just a sucker for stray cats, and I just want to help them. And so we took that one in. And so we are slowly becoming like crazy cat people or something, because we got 6 now, and yeah, it's hard to give them away when you become attached to them. And so now we have Tay-Tay. Tay-Tay was the one we rescued from the YMCA. She was being subjected to aerobics classes, and we rescued her. And she's the one by the beer bottle in the picture that I showed for the intermission. And if you weren't here for that, here's a quick reminder. Here's a picture of Tay-Tay. I'll make this short. So there you go. You can see Tay-Tay by the beer bottle, the garbage kitty, I call her. So she's crazy. All right, Philip loves the streams. Dude, I'm glad you like them, man. I'm really glad you like them. Somebody was asking a question. Fierce had a question that might require a fairly long answer. Well, let's ask it. Let's see what you got going on, man. Can you stream the Corrupted Gnome Adventure? That'd be a lot of fun. I do not have... I'm running the Corrupted Gnome Adventure at work, and I'm not able to video record that. Just in case you guys don't know, too, I have another YouTube channel. It's just called the DM Lair Actual Play. There's a link, I think, down in the description to it. But my 2 weekend groups, I videotape all of them, and I put those videos out there on that channel. So if you've have an interest in watching them, you can. But you'll be able to see me running my actual games. I don't know, how interesting it is to. I'm not Critical Role, right? My games are not Critical Role games, so I offer no guarantee that it's going to be interesting to watch. I run my games to be fun for the players, and there is a big difference between running a D&D game so that it is interesting and fun for your players, and running a D&D game so that it's interesting and fun for an audience. And Critical Role runs their games for an audience, right? They go in there, do what they do so that the audience will be entertained. And there is a huge distinction there. So I offer no guarantees that watching my actual plays will be fun at all. But they're all out there. I don't know that I'm going to be able to stream the Gnome Adventure one because it's at work and stuff. That would be very interesting, though. That'd be a lot of fun. I'll think about that, but I can't offer a guarantee on that. All right, so Bromo says your adventure layout is great, and the bullet points, it is all easy to find your information during. Yes, absolutely. Bromos, one of the big things I have about designing my adventures is that when I make this, let me pop over to there. When I do this type up, one of my huge considerations is I need to be able to find information quickly when I'm running the game at a table. And some of the modules that I have seen do a really, really bad job of being easy to reference while you're running a game at the table. And so what I do when I make my own adventures is I make them easy to reference using lots of bullet points. These bullet points are perhaps a little exaggerated, but anyway, I try to make them easy to reference. And I actually have some adventures that I've created over on DriveThruRPG. Two of them are like pay what you want, so you can get them for free. And then another one is I think it's like a $2 or something like that. So if you guys are interested in getting some of my well-developed adventures, you can go to DriveThruRPG. There's a link down in the description to that. I also have several adventures for free over on my website. Actually, right down here, you can see in the lower part of the screen, thedmlayer.com. That's my website. I have several adventures over there for free. You can just download them as well. They're not super well polished. They're more like this one right here, not polished at all. But I'm glad you like the layout on this. My goal is to make things easy for people to find. All right. So Fierce says, whenever my players get to town and I give them free a couple things regularly happen. They get drunk in the local pub and at least one person visits a brothel. I mean, Fierce, I think that the getting drunk in a local pub is probably pretty normal for a D&D group. Visiting a brothel, I don't think that's probably out of the ordinary. What's up with D&D and brothels? Says 4 Elemental. I don't know, dude. I don't have brothels in my games. They're not a feature in my game. But I do have one player, Nigel, who frequently he's a ladies' man. So there are no brothels, but he finds cute ladies whenever there's downtime. So Philip says, would you ever do a how to write your adventures? Actually, I think that's interesting, Philip. I did a video about adventure creation. It's over on my YouTube channel. I did it a while ago. You could probably browse for it or something. It kind of walks through what we've been doing here. I think probably what I would do, Philip, is how to create an adventure is probably an entire series of videos where I would have to talk through all the unique little, fiddly parts of it and stuff. So that's a possibility, but that's probably an entire series of videos about how to do that. But I think too, just these live streams and walking through it gives a pretty good, idea of how to do that as well. But that's a good idea for a video series, definitely, dude. I'll think about that. For Elemental says, what sick bastard forces cats to take aerobic classes? I know, dude. All right, so Fierce says, on the last visit to town, everyone decided to relax and enjoy the pleasure of the flesh, okay? When they do this, I have a table I roll on to see if anything happens. Robbed in the night, other diseases and stuff. Got it, okay. Elemental says, I watch a streamer who has nightmares about Matt Mercer. That's funny. I don't know why you would have nightmares about him. He seems like a pretty cool guy.
Bromos says, good idea. I love roll tables at Fierce Mushroom. Yeah. Roll tables are cool. I did a few of those in this thing too. Giants. So in one of my adventures right now, to give Fierce time to type out his question, because I still don't have a question to answer, I found this PDF file for the contents of a giant's bag, because one of my groups right now is going through the Against the Giants adventures that are in Tales from the Yawning Portal, and I have a random table now for rolling when they loot giant bags. Like, what are the contents of a giant bag? So it's pretty cool. All right, where's our question? Fierce is writing me a question, man. So, on this last roll, the ranger, a female elf, rolled pregnancy. Okay. I'm afraid to find out where this is going. How would you handle this? And how do you handle adult content? Okay, so here's the thing, dude. I don't do adult content in my games. I just don't do it. It's one thing for the bard to say that, I'm going to go pick up a girl or something. Fine. Go pick up a girl. But that's the extent of how far any adult content is going to come into my games. I have no interest in role playing that stuff. Any description beyond I'm hitting on a girl, that's pretty much as far as it's going to go. And maybe an allusion, to whatever that you guys are hooking up or something. But that's it. There's nothing beyond that. I've never had a player want to go beyond that as far as role playing goes, and if a player did, I would just be like, time out, dude, we're not doing that here. That is not the type of game that I want to run. I don't feel comfortable running that game. There are probably other players at the table who would feel uncomfortable running that game, so we're not going to play that game. So sorry. And then that would be the end of it. I don't think that I would have a player. The thing is you got to be clear, right? You have to be very clear that is not something that we will be doing in this game, So sorry, that's it. That's over, and just make it clear, and then you move on. If I ever had a player who insisted on it, then that would be a problem, right? But that's how I handle it. There is none of that stuff that happens in my games. I've heard horror stories. I think they're horror stories of people role playing things like rape and stuff. No freaking way. That's not happening. That would be a strong warning of no freaking way, dude. And if you want to do that stuff, then you're gonna find a different group. I do not tolerate that stuff. So, was that the question? Did I answer the question, or is there more? Paul Schreiber says, "Save." Okay, thanks, buddy. Jeez. All right, I'm not even reading that one. It says if you're running adults, then it's easy, but if it's PG-13, then don't get derailed with downtime in pubs and stuff. Yeah, exactly. I run one of my groups, guys, is for kids. I want to say that they are I think they're about 13 or 14 now. I started running games for them about 2 years ago, and we play about once a month. And we just don't do that stuff. We don't go in. They don't even ask to go into pubs and drink and stuff. They're 14 or something, So we just don't even go there. That's not even a part of the game. All right, Bro says good answer. Yeah, thanks. Don't go there. Do not adult content. No, thank you. I don't need that in Dungeons and Dragons. Not appropriate. Not for my games. Philip says I had a halfling who jumped in a black lake, so I had to make con save roll. He transformed into a troll, a halfling troll. That sounds cool. Arthur says, what about when it can have impact on the story? No describing and role-playing the scene. Agreed. We won't do that. But when it can be important, like seducing someone to get a favor, I think that's okay, dude. I don't have a problem with just saying, hey, I'm going to try to seduce that guy to get some information or to get a key to get in through a door or something. I don't have a problem with that, right? Because we're not actually describing, we're all adults, right? We're not actually role-playing that stuff and describing it. We're just stating a simple action. So I have no problem with that. As long as it's a simple saying, hey, I'm going to do this so that I can achieve this objective or something, I think that's fine. One of my
one of the Sword Coast Guard group that I have, the bard Nigel, had like a fling with somebody called Lady Nellaby, who he believed was a noble, but she was actually a succubus. And so it was a major plot point that he spawned like an army of like cambions, which are like the offspring of a succubus and like a mortal or something. And so it was a plot point that he did this thing, and that became a thing in the game, right? But there was never any description beyond the fact that the Nigel the Bard was like, saying, yeah, I'm gonna hit on Lady Nellaby and stuff like that. But that's nothing descriptive. I don't go there. Making some of that stuff like plot points, that is within reason, I think. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, we're adults, right? As long as it's like staying, I don't know, different D&D games might do it different ways. I'm not going to tell you how to run your game. I'm just saying for my games personally, there's a line that gets drawn in the sand that I don't cross. So there you go. Fierce Mushroom says, for my games, it's more or less a fade to black type thing. But I felt that whoring your way across the country should have consequences. It might, dude. It definitely might, man. Appreciate your DMs. Yeah, totally. All right, guys. So it's almost 10:30. I'm at the bottom of the chat. I think we're going to call it for tonight. This was tons of fun, guys. I hope you had fun and this was enjoyable. I really like doing the Q&As, guys. I'll be honest with you. What we're going to do next time is we will have our live stream on the date that I stated before. And I don't think that rolling and distributing loot is going to take us the entire 2 hours. So we're more than likely going to have a good amount of time to just do a Q&A as well. And so we will plan on doing that next time for you all. So thanks a lot for joining us. And there was another comment here. Oh, somebody. Okay, cool. Well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. I will see you around next time. And I just need to find the button that disconnects me from the stream. So, all right, guys. We'll see you next time. Oh, I have to do my closing. I have to do my standard closing. What do I do? It's like, until next time, let's play D&D.